Hello. Hello, everyone. Great. Thank you. Thank you for writing your greetings. I'm so glad to have all of you here. Ternopil, Kryvyi Rih, Borodyanka, super. All Ukraine will be here today. So great. Oh, really? Afghanistan. Wow. Hello. Okay. People are joining. Let's wait some seconds while most of you will be there. Hello, everyone who has just joined. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, great. Lots of people are joining. I'm so glad to see all of you here today. Hello, everyone who has just joined. Please, I can see chat, but with some kind of pause. So write down if you hear me well, if everything is good with my connection, just write down 1 in chat. If the sound, the video is okay. I'm waiting for your numbers. Number 1. Hear and see you well. Okay, good. Wonderful. Thank you. I suppose we can get started, right? My name is Yulia. I am from Lviv, and I am a senior teacher of Green Country English School. Also, I work as a methodologist of Green Country English School and editor of the platform of Green Country and TalkEn.Cloud. Today, we are here to speak about a very important topic, of course, that is grammar, as you could see from the advertisement and our plan of our speech, right? What can I say from the beginning? All of you know that after today's webinar, everybody can receive some important information that will be said, will be spoken yesterday during this webinar. So on your emails that you mentioned while registration, you will receive important links that will be useful with all the useful information that I will include today in this presentation. Also, you will receive the link for a test, that a short test according to the main things that will be mentioned today. When you complete the test with 75% of correct answers, you will receive the certificates, and all of them will be generated and sent to you on your email addresses as well. So during the webinar, you can prepare your questions to clarify something and write down them in chat. I will be answering to them in the end of the presentation. I suppose it will be the most comfortable way, not to interrupt the main part. And then so prepare everything you would like to ask, to know, and in the end of the webinar, we will answer all the questions. So these were the main things that I would like to mention, and I suppose we can get started. So, grammar. You know, when everybody listens to and hears the word grammar, there are different associations, right? Especially children. Lots of children and students say that, oh no, this is the most boring thing ever, right? Or some of teachers will say, again, there is grammar lesson. That is so hard. How can I explain these rules? Why don't children get this idea and how to teach them, how to make it work, right? Not to just learn the rules, but how can they implement that in their speech and also in their conversational skills. So today, I'm gonna focus on some practical ways how can grammar lessons be conducted. It will not be some academical knowledge, right? But according to our practice that we had in our Green Country English School during this period of time, I've been working here in Green Country for the past 4.5 years. And really, there were lots of age-level students and of course, lots of variety of grammar lessons. And we also have noticed some things that really work and something that make these lessons fun and effective. So today, our aim is to share with you something really practical that we could see from our experience and to give you maybe some ideas that you could also use in your work as well afterwards. So, grammar. Speaking from the beginning, we need to mention that grammar is the system of patterns and structures, or a set of resources that are used to organize words into sentences that make meanings in text. So, speaking about learning English as general, we usually teach the most important things. These are skills and systems. And there is a great difference between them. So, like skills or reading, listening, speaking, and writing, we teach how to do that, right? How to speak, how to listen, how to read, and how to write. But grammar is a part of the systems or the sets of rules. We cannot say how to grammar, yes, or how to vocabulary. Students need to know exact rules, like set of rules that make their speech really organized and that help them to speak fluently and accurately. So today we concentrate on the grammar as a system or a set of rules. I really adore such a quote that I found about language, which in my opinion really reflects well how does the grammar work, right? If the language is a vehicle which helps to transfer our ideas, feelings, thoughts, and emotions, also experiences and knowledge from one to another, in the same way, grammar is the machine by which that vehicle is set in motion. Of course, all of us as teachers want our children, not only children, yes, but students use the language and communicate effectively. That's why grammar is a very important thing and a very important part of teaching. We need to focus on and spend lots of time on that. Let's also pay attention to some important aims of teaching grammar. Yes, again, why do we teach it? First of all, because it helps to communicate effectively, as we mentioned before. And here are also some important and main things to consider. So, first of all, not only rules are being taught, yes, but also students are able to get insight into the structure of language. If they get the rules, if they understand how it works, how to express their feeling using this tense or that structure, it helps them not just do the tasks, yes, or exercises, but what is the most important, when we teach it effectively and in the correct way, they are available to think in the language using these structures that they gain. Also, of course, while having these rules in mind and using them in their speech, they are developing the mental abilities of reasoning and correct observation. Also, teaching grammar helps to develop a scientific attitude in pupils because they learn how to analyze the language and how everything works from the inside. This is like something general to speak about? And what about aims of particular grammar lessons? When we start our, when we start preparing our lesson, yes, and if it is a grammar lesson, we usually see, what do we say? Like, okay, today we are studying present continuous, or today students will be studying used to, or maybe they will learn action verbs for writing, cooking, recipe. But is that the aim of the lesson? My students will learn present continuous. Not really, because our goal, yes, our aim is not just for students to get this rules how to make present continuous, how to do the tasks, and so on, but the aims are deeper, much deeper. For example, here are some better formulation of the rules. 1 second. Sorry. It happens. Let's come back. The presentation didn't want to work. Okay. It will be there. Technical problem. Okay. Doesn't want to show it to you. Okay, here it works. Sorry, I'm sorry for delay. Yes, so better formulation of the aim will be like that. Students will not just know present continuous as grammar topic, but they will be able to describe present actions in particular present situation. For example, if it is from like the youngest age, yes, they will describe the photos as the actions that are happening right now at the moment of speech or now, yeah. Used to. It's not the aim to learn used to as a structure. People need to know how to talk about their own or someone else's habits by using the structure used to. And the same with action verbs. Students will be able to give instructions for cooking a certain dish or write a recipe. So that is the aim. They study grammar in order to use it in their speech, what is the most important. And by setting such rules, we also, while providing the lesson, need afterwards we analyze, yes, did we achieve it or not? What will show us if the student achieved the goal? If in the end of the lesson or the set of lessons, students will be able to do that. And we can analyze it during the like different feedback and also feedback that we gained during the lesson. We will speak about it a little bit later. Moving on. Let's speak now about the approaches. So now we know that grammar is a really vital thing that we need to teach. And now let's speak about the main approaches that teachers of English usually use while presenting and practicing grammar. I would like you to also to see your feedback. Can you please write in chat, what in your opinion are the two main approaches of teaching grammar? Okay, okay. Yes, I was waiting. Now I see your answers. Thank you so much. And I see the correct answers here. Thank you very much who has written them. Yes, the main approaches of presenting and teaching grammar is deductive and inductive. So what is the difference between them? Grammar is rules. In deductive approach, the rule is presented by the teacher usually, and the language is produced based on the rule. And inductive way or approach of teaching grammar is when this rule is not given, it's not presented by the teacher, yes, but it is inferred through the guided discovery. Some context is given and the rule is gained while the process of different tasks, of different questions asked by the teacher to the students. And both of them have got their own advantages and disadvantages that need to be taken into the consideration. For example, speaking about inductive approach, positive moments and advantages of it is that it is more learner-centered because it is based on most interaction between students by themselves and also students and teacher. And also it is very effective with the students who have the base in language and they can use their like analytical skills and they can discover something by a while guided discovery. And one of the disadvantages, if you can say like that, it is really time consuming, and that's why it is not usually used with the youngest people, students, people, yes, and the lowest levels. So that's why a deductive approach is one of the most used all around by lots of teachers. And it also has got its own advantages, like it is more time saving, allows more time for practicing after the presentation, and it is more effective with lower level students. But in some cases, it is more teacher-centered, what is a disadvantage. But today, we are focusing mostly on deductive approach of learning grammar, and we will say how to make it more effective using some points and some okay, want to use this the most appropriate word, but some pros from inductive methods. So it can be like combined. These approaches can be combined, and while doing that, it will be more effective. So a deductive approach is usually represented by the lesson model, which is called PPP, which stands for presentation, practice, and production. So taking it in mind, Let's speak a little bit more about that. So a presentation stage of the lesson, usually like there are different division according to time that needs to be spent on each of them. Some teachers say that it should be divided like equally. If it is 1 hour lesson, they spend 20% of the lesson of presentation, then on the practice and on production. But especially with higher levels and with students who have the most of skills of independency, that is really useful and also tested by some teachers that prove that it is better to spend the least of time on presentation stage, give them more to practice it. And of course, the most part of the lesson needs to be spent on production, which gives them the opportunity to use language in the real situation, like modeling real situations that they have while doing different producing activities. Okay, stages of the lesson according to PPP model or presentation practice production. Usually, this model of the lesson starts with the short warm-up or lead-in, where there can be different things like students are discussing some questions according to the topic that will be provided, right? And also there can be different pictures given to them or situation. After it, there is the presentation stage, when we present not just the grammar as the rule, of course, but when we provide this, here we set the context, and here we mostly show them, yes, the situation or the context in which students are given and taught the particular grammar point. After that, we call it check-in understanding stage or clarification stage. It is not like divided into the separate one, but it is like the link between presentation and practice, which is controlled, semi-controlled, and then freer practice or production. Now we will stop a little bit more on each of them. Speaking about presentation, there are different ways of presenting new new grammar topics, and of course, it should be the context. And this context can be presented in such forms or such ways as using an example text, or it can be a picture which helps us to start speaking using this or that grammatical structure. It can be a situation given and also presenting some dialogue, anecdote, audio played, or what is now the most used by the teachers also and really effective. These are different videos, modal sentences, like substitution tables, which means when we give them the rules, right? And then show how the verbs, for example, change during, according to the persons, like people, and so on. And timelines are usually used for teaching verb tenses, and they are really useful when students get used to them. They will analyze whether it is past, present, or future. After presentation stage, that is very important to check, yes, if the students got the idea. Okay, now I am speaking mostly about some, I'm speaking about how is it worked, and all the examples I will provide a little bit later, how it is really used in practice. So on the clarification stage, there is very important to ask concept checking questions. There is really old-fashioned, do you understand? Imagine that we presented a grammar topic like present simple. For example, we set the context. We, for example, told about our own routine. Every day I get up at 7 o'clock, then I have breakfast, I get dressed, and I go to work. The simplest example, yes? And then we just ask students, okay, for example, yeah, we use have, go, get dressed. And then we say, do you understand? Of course, nobody does it. For getting to know if the students got the concept, yes, if they got the meaning, we need to ask concept checking questions, which are called CCQs. They are different of them. And here you can see some examples of CCQs. Sometimes we can ask yes or no questions. Present simple, for example. Do we speak about actions that we always do or no? And they answer always, or is it repeated or done only once? Repeated. Of course, we speak about students who are a little bit older and they have higher level, and so on. There are also some tips of asking CCQs that I wanted to emphasize as well. They need to be planned in advance. Why? Because if we prepare CCQs, we can think about them before the lesson, and it will help us to get the most important information from the students to see if they really understood the rule, because they cannot say just yes, I understand, or no, I don't, because they cannot know it for sure. But if you ask simple question with the graded language according to their level, you will see maybe what to focus on, what to explain more if they didn't get it from the presentation, and so on. Also, there shouldn't be lots of checking questions. Yes, 2, 3 are enough. Also, they should have clear answers and not so long. And sometimes that is really important to look at your group and direct CCQs to specific student, or not always to a whole class. And also, when you cover as many students as possible, you will see the situation, if they really get it or not. And only after clarification, you can go to, all of us, we can go to the practice stage. While the language was presented, they have to practice them in different ways by doing the tasks and activities. Here is the very important thing. While practicing language, we can use 2 things that are called as tasks and activities. What is the difference between them? Tasks have their own outcome in the end. Like if the students are doing the tasks, after it we can see true, false. Yes, we can see if the students did it correctly or not. But activity, these are some process of doing. We don't check only whether something is correctly or incorrectly done, but the activity is focused on the process of, for example, speaking, when they are discussing some pictures, or they are discussing what is described in the pictures, or they are discussing some questions. And we mostly focus on the context, not just rules that are used according to grammar, but on the usage in the speech. So by doing tasks and activities, students are we provide 2 levels of practice. This is controlled or guided and freer practice, or production. Now we are going to stop on the controlled or guided practice. It is while doing it, we are focusing on accuracy. And also in these tasks and activities, we speak about meaning, form, and pronunciation of each of grammar point. Speaking a little bit more about it. What is meaning? It's when the structure can be used. For example, again, if we speak about a structure used to, meaning, it's when we talk about it. We use used to speak about past habits that are not true in the present, right? What is form? We concentrate on the form using different tables and rules that we can present for students, for example, in presentations, in the on the board, online board, and so on. It includes the rules how to form positive, negative sentences and questions. For example, speaking about used to, yes, we focus that we use used to, and after it, only verb. Used to go, used to speak, used to drink, used to climb, and so on. What are full and short forms? And if they are older, if they are higher level, we also can provide the formula of the structure if they know that. Yes, for example, how is it form? It will be who, he, she, it, I, you, we, they, then used to, then a verb. And also time markers. When I was young, in my childhood, and so on. To practice it from the beginning, there is drilling. Drilling is a really important thing because we can automatize it, yes, while in this stage. So if we provided this form, we explained the meaning of the structure. There is the stage where we can use drilling, while we can use different types of drilling, like repetition drill, substitutional drill, transformation drill, according to the topic and the plan that we have. The types of drillings, there are more of them, and I also provided it in one of the files that will be sent to you in the end, and you can like revise maybe. Of course, you know about them, but you can have it in one file in order to see the construction and how to build all of the examples of this drilling. And of course, pronunciation. Pronunciation is not only about vocabulary items, not only about stress in vocabulary, but it is also about weak and stressed forms in the sentences. This is intonation, raising, falling, or raising, falling, linking which gives them the opportunity to speak fluently, not only accurately, and sound more like closer to the native speakers, right? So when we teach the grammar, any of the grammar topics, we have to analyze before presenting and practicing what is meaning, what is the form, and what is the pronunciation. These are the crucial MFP systems that we have to take into the consideration. And it'll help us during the lesson to form our CCQs, as we spoke before, is to get to know if the students got the meaning, and a form we can get clarification of the form while using these substitutional tables. I will also show it on the example a little bit later. So, and now let's focus on the activities that can be provided according to, in order to practice some grammar points. So, controlled and semi-controlled practice. Okay, so before producing the language, before using it freely without any help, students have this way of controlled and semi-controlled practice. What is a little difference between two of them? So controlled practice, we mean that it helps learners to automatize the form of target language, and it can be done in orally or in written form. In this way, learners use the language that has been presented, and of course, it needs more monitoring from the teacher, and it is usually they need help. When, for example, it is done by students individually or in parents, and teacher can interfere and give them the hints, help them a little bit more in order to help to automatize the usage of this. Semi-controlled practice, it's also controlled, but they have got higher level of independency. And in this stage, language is more personalized, and also learners can express mostly their own ideas. And as well, it provides a certain degree of flexibility, but it's still required to use the presented target language. It's not produced only by them. And here are some examples. For example, gap fill or multiple choice activities, categorizing words into groups like regular, irregular verbs, drilling as well, different types of them, repetition, substitution, individual, choral drilling, all the types of matching exercises, sentence transformation, or gap texts, all of them are examples of controlled practice. It is controlled. Students are assisted by the teacher, and the level of independence is the lowest in this stage. After it, we go to semi-controlled practice. Here, they also used some presented language like prompts, but they need to complete, for example, sentences with their own ideas. They are not like given sentences only, where they need to put correct verb form, or, for example, endings of the words. But here they need to provide some own ideas with given prompts. Also, here can be, for example, asking to write a text using the target language. For example, they are given the task to write the text, but they need to use some given phrases or given words. Or it is when they have the beginnings of the sentences and just need to finish. It's also semi-controlled. It's not the production stage yet. Very common and famous activities like find someone who. It also needs some independency from the students, but they are given some prompts in the tables or on the cards, and they use this type of activity in order to practice the language that they were taught before. And speaking about production, this is something that goes after all of practice provided. And on this stage of the lesson, students need to show their understanding and how they can use the language that they were taught before. And here we will focus on the aims of production stage. Also, what is feedback given here, and some correction techniques. So during the freer practice or production, they are given the chance to use by themselves the target language and their existing language knowledge. And in this stage, it is done more flexibly. If on practice stage, we mostly focused on accuracy, yes, because they are doing tasks in order to use correct forms, correct contractions, and they need to understand in what context to use this or that. While doing freer practice or production, they work on flexibility, not accuracy. And the main focus is speaking about correction. Yes, when we are doing practice tasks, we can have correction and correct students on spot. I will also focus on it a little bit later, but still we can correct them. Pay attention to this, or you need to use another form. But while production stage, while doing production tasks and activities, we don't interrupt, we don't interfere, we just monitor and give the feedback after doing the tasks. And of course, these activities and tasks contain like some information gap which requires students to exchange information in a meaningful way. Let's move on to some activities that represent production. So if we give students to role play the dialogue, or there is a menu and we ask them to order food, organize the group discussion or have a debate, also analyze the pros and cons of living abroad, for example. And of course, it is according to the grammar topic that was taught during the lesson. Or they need to discuss the solutions to a problem or write a summary of the solution. And there can be different resources be used. For example, Padlet, as it also provided here to organize their contributions and comments that they can leave online, right? In this way, as we see, they don't have any hints, they don't have any construction, they have the task, what to do. And if production was done well, if the practice tasks were organized in correct way, and also if there was enough of practice in this production stage, we will see that the students are able to use what they were taught before. Only this stage will show us as teachers if the lesson was successful, or maybe we missed something on the previous stages, and sometimes it's really important to get back and maybe explain again or do more practice if they didn't get the concept. So now, while we've finished like with this lesson structure, I would say, yes, speaking like starting this from presentation, going through practice to production. And we always need to give some feedback to students on their performance during the lesson. What is feedback? It is the information, it is immediate or delayed, that learners get on their performance during the lesson. Also, feedback, it is considered like comments about how well or how badly someone is doing something. And it's intended to help them to get better, and also is intended to motivate students. It's very important to provide the positive feedback, and it can be done always and usually. Now, concentrate a little bit on the types of feedback. Here you can see some examples, and as we can revise, yes, there are two main types of feedback, which is on content or on form. When we are, for example, giving them keys to gap filling task, or we are listening to students speaking and we ask them about the tense that they have just used in stories. Or for example, we want to correct the incorrectly used tense or ask them where the problem might be. Usually we use it on the board, yes, by writing some sentences on the board and asking them to find out the mistake, for example. This is feedback on form, because we are analyzing what was done incorrectly, what should be changed, checked again, in order to remember that and use afterwards. But if we speak about like if we give the feedback on what they were speaking about, ask them questions about their partners, for example, if they were working in breakout room and discussing some matters, and after that we come to the main session and we ask, so what does your partner like doing in the free time? Or did your partner go for a walk yesterday? And they need to give that. It is the feedback on content. And there also are some ideas how to give it. So the first 5 examples are examples of content feedback. And the last 5 is the feedback on the form. And of course, while doing the practice tasks, we need to use different correction techniques, because students need to, we need to correct students' mistakes. Sometimes they are doing that by themselves, and there are some ideas of correction techniques that can be used. First of all, let's revise again. When there is a practice stage of the lesson, we use on-the-spot corrections that can be done immediately. Yes, for example, they are making their own sentences, and we can correct them right away. Echo correction. This is correction when like we heard some sentence student said and it was with mistake, and we repeat it, for example, raising the intonation on the part which was mistaken. Like you said, I play football yesterday. Like I play football yesterday. So they concentrate on this word play. Also, we can use like miming, some gestures to show yesterday you play. And they, oh yes, got it, played. Reformulation, it's also similar to echo correction, but we reformulate it using correct structure. Especially it is done with students of high levels, when they can analyze their speech and say, okay, it was my sentence, it was I who said it incorrectly, and it should be like that. Usually they get it really. So you said, you said you played football yesterday. Yeah, and okay, it's not play, it is played. Finger correction. Want to show the example. For example, when we were studying present simple, my students liked this hand like really very much, especially while making special questions, because they usually miss this part of auxiliary helping verbs. Yeah, they say why he speak or when he does it and so on. And when you teach on the presentation stage, when we teach, for example, yes, the structure of special questions, we drill with them using the fingers. They touch the fingers with us, and it helps them to remember that. And when they make mistake, you can show. When I go. And they can, like, if it was in context of present simple, they will get it should be do or does. Or, for example, they can miss usually, often, or always. So if you present it in that way, drill for lots of times, and they got used to this, when you want to correct, it will be done without any word. You just show them your hand, point on some of the fingers, and they get it. It really works. It was tested on lots of lessons, and they really like it. Also, our hands can be used for contractions. Yes, for example, this will be really great for studying present continuous. I am not working. I'm. He is. His. And also when students don't say it in shortened forms or in contracted way, only in full ones, you just show a hand, make it together, they repeat. It's very important to ask them to repeat. Show me your hand, do it with me. Yes, and it is scientifically proven that when students have this physical response, it helps them remember material better, and also it gives them the association of what does it mean and how to use that. It was about finger correction. Gestures, facial expression, also, like sometimes when you are listening to students while practice stage, yes, and they are speaking, or you are given feedback on the context, and they are telling something, you can just raise your eyebrows, and they will see that something was done incorrectly and correct themselves. Also, peer correction is really good. For example, it can be done when you give the keys for the task, a half of keys to student A, and he or she needs to check student B, and do it vice versa. They concentrate on the form of the grammar topic that they are studying, right? And they can check and correct themselves. Also, timelines. So, for example, if you use the timeline and there is a past, present, or future, it also can be used like a correction, because when students say, I go to the cinema last week, you can use the slide with timeline and point that it was in past. Yes, point. I go, and they will see when it was taught before, and also get that it should be said like I went. And now I would like to stop a little bit more on DEC. What is delayed error correction? While on the spot correction, which is done right away, it is used on practice stage when students are doing tasks and activities. Then delayed error correction is something that needs to be collected during the production stage. Here are some moments. Speaking about online learning, right? We as teachers, when divide students into breakout rooms, and especially on giving them productive activities, we come to their rooms and monitor how they use the language. And our task as teachers is to make notes, but not only of the mistakes. Also, that is really important to put good language use and mistakes. I usually do it while coming to them. I have, for example, the Word document opened or just a PowerPoint slide, and I type there during listening to them, and afterwards write down the sentence on the board and we discuss it all together. Also, when you collected that, and you also maybe had the list of sentences with mistakes from production stage, and you ask the students to discuss it in pair or groups. Again, so I was listening to you, great examples of sentences you made, super, show them what was done well. But there were some troubles, and now I want you to discuss how can it be corrected. And again, you organize them to go to breakout rooms, and they have to discuss it all together in order to find the mistakes. And only after that, you come back to main room, to main session, and show them the correct answer. And it helps them to focus the attention of correct form of this or that grammar point. Okay, in conclusion, speaking about correction and feedback, we can say that on-the-spot correction is used during practice stage, and delayed error correction is used on production stage. That gives them more independency and focuses on fluency of using language. So now I'd like to stop a little bit more on this adaptation of PPP, or presentation practice production. There are different other methods of learning, teaching grammar, like TTT, which stands for test, teach, test, or TBL, like task-based language. And these are more inductive, and they provide more guidance, guided discovery, while the rules is not presented before, but when students, while doing the tasks, analyzing some contextual material, it can be like a text, an audio, a video, they try to get this rule by themselves. But we can also include such moments, such things from inductive method into deductive method. How? For example, if we spend more time in the presentation stage eliciting, not just show them a picture or read the text and after that provide a table with explanation rules. But, for example, there is a text where the target grammar is used and we ask, we elicit if the students noticed it or not. Also, it is something about turning into an inductive aspect. They have to figure out the patterns by themselves, not provided by the teacher. Also, it will be done with using collaborative tasks during the practice stage. It means that learners have to use the target language to complete successfully. Include meta-learning strategies, and students will know how to learn how to learn. It can be done while asking, for example, asking your students, for instance, after the lesson to find out more information about that, or provide them another example of the text, and they need to analyze the grammar that was taught and learned before. Of course, presentation, practice, production, lesson model, it is used and will be used in our lessons. And if we think about different ways to improve it, adapt it, it will be more effective and will help us to achieve the goal. So the last but not the least, first of all, I would like to show you the example of one lesson that presents like grammar topic of present simple and especially negative and questions. Here is the video. We show students a video where, as you can see, I will not play the video because while the live stream, it will be not lagging, but there are some troubles, you know. But I will just show you that there is a video. Girls are speaking, and in their speech, they use the formula form of questions. Do you like, and it is underlined, yes. Like, does she live? Yes, she does, and so on. So this is the presentation stage. Students are presented, present simple, with example video. Then they have this grammar chart that they can analyze how to form negatives and questions using different colors, underlining on this stage. That is very important to drill this with students, and also use especially like substitution drill, ask students to make up their own sentences. After that, there are some practice tasks. They were presented, given the rule, yes, the deductive approach method, and now they have some practice tasks. Here is, for example, open the brackets task. They need to write don't or doesn't. It is practice because it is controlled. The next task, for example, they are given a positive sentence and they have to transform that into questions. Also, all the times they can come back to the rules, look at that, and do it like it was shown before. Next task, they do the same, but with negative sentences. Here, there are some parts of the sentences that they need to combine together. And all of that is, again, practice stage. And in the next task, they are provided with making, again, negative and questions from the positive sentences. Now I am showing you the example of lesson from TalkEn.Cloud platform. And our lessons, usually in green country, our lessons are provided with using this flipped classroom. This part that I have just shown, it is self-study. So students are preparing for the lesson, and this presentation is made not by the teacher, but they are doing that by themselves. They are watching video, and after this, analyzing this grammar chart and doing practice tasks. During the lesson, we are practicing it more. Again, we can show them this chart of grammar rules, drill it. The examples focus on the forms, for example, using as in negatives and questions. And again, doing the practice tasks. They are done individually or in pairs when students can analyze it and also help each other. Also, we can organize this pair correction. And also there is a very important and effective task, correct the mistakes, because they focus on what was used incorrectly and try to correct these mistakes. And only in the end, there is a production task. But that is not the end. For practicing, you can use not only like written tasks, or like you can see here, something that they can type, but some interactive tools and games, on what I would like to focus in the last part of our speech today. And speaking a little bit more about this platform, as you can see, that is really comfortable to use. Students can use this platform while doing self-study, preparing for the lesson, and also they can use this online book while working at the lesson. Okay, I need to be sure that you can see the presentation well. 1 second. So what is TalkEn.Cloud? This is the multifunctional online platform for teaching English. I have shown you only one example of the lesson while teaching present simple during one of the lessons and some practice tasks. But this platform is the learning management system, and it's included, and also you can use it with your students like the platform with already made lessons. And there are lots of opportunities for you as teachers and for your students as well. For example, you as teachers can receive the access for different tools, and not only interactive workbooks with teacher tips or extra materials, but also the testing system that is automatized. Also, there is electronic attendance showing student progress and attendance. There is the calendar and schedule when they see their own schedule of lessons they can attend. Also, the certificates in the end of the studying are generated automatically. And also, as teachers, there is a library of webinars and training sessions that you can get. If you teach using this TalkEn.Cloud platform, students get the access to their own profile. They have My Green Country Cabinet, where they have this online book, online tests, and extra activities for revision and enrichment. It is also everything automatized, and there are videos, mostly videos for all the levels of presenting new language, whether it is grammar, functional, and vocabulary, and tons of different tasks for practicing. And also there will be on the 2nd of June, there will be the presentation of TalkEn.Cloud where you can see and get to know more about it. You can use this QR code right now in order to fill in the form for registration. And also you can get it after the webinar. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, it will be provided on your email addresses. You will receive all the important information and also the possibility to get the demo version of this platform, to test it and to see all the advantages of it. Okay, speaking more, so it was a really huge project because it includes levels from pre-A1 to B2. All the lessons are really well structured with already prepared practice activities, production activities, also ready-made lesson plans with lots of additional tasks and practicing for you as teachers to use. And of course, that is very interesting for students because it is combined online and offline, because while working on this platform, your students can also buy printed books and work with them, even if the lessons are provided online. And one more important thing that I would like to tell about, that the team of TalkEn.Cloud was working on the new product. This is the book for the 5th grades of Ukrainian schools, and this book is called Stories. Now, till the 29th of May, there is the contest, and teachers of all over Ukraine, they are voting for the books to use in the schools. And if you work in the school, civil school, you probably know about this voting. And if you like the concept and if you like the structure of that, you also can get the access to the demo version of this book, see how it is built, and it is also double. It has 2 elements, yes, offline printed book and also online version of ebook, and students can use it as well. And of course, we hope that all the efforts that were made in creating this will be used by teachers, and students will have this opportunity to learn these modern topics and do interactive and very interesting tasks. So it was the example of the lesson of TalkEn.Cloud platform. And what I would like to speak next, it was mentioned in our theme of our webinar, making grammar lessons fun and effective. Of course, while just giving them the rules to study, giving the practice tasks, it wouldn't be very interesting, yes? So that's why we can use different fun ways to make the lesson more interactive and fun for students. Here, I just collected some the most usually used games and practices, yes, that we use with our students during the lessons. And now I would like to show you some of them. Dice games. They can be used, okay, all of them mostly can be used in different lessons and during studying different topics. Dice games, when you give them, for example, a die, online die, and they can roll this die. Here is the example of, okay, it was bingo, this one. It was A2 level students. They were studying some, it's a revision of vocabulary and grammar. So they can use the dice in order to practice making positive, negative sentences and questions according to any grammar. For example, they studying present perfect, and they need to use these words and phrases to make present perfect sentences according to the number they had on the die. They really like this activity of making a banana sentences because it also includes their creativity. They have to think how to make a banana sentence, and their partners in rooms they are working with need to guess what was it. Yes, for example, I have my family has planted banana. And they are looking at these given words or phrases and say, okay, is it a bush? Yes, it is, and so on. It can be done with any level, any topic, because, for example, here there was a topic for students of pre-A1. They were studying jobs, different jobs, yes, so also like a practice, you can give them this online die, they are rolling the die, and after that, practicing making sentences and using this vocabulary. Bingo games. Bingo, it's also a very famous game, and it can be used with the youngest learners and all the ages of learners. And on different stages of the lesson, on the controlled or semi-controlled practice. If they are small children, as here, it's like pre-A1 students, and they were studying the topic My Room, you can just provide them pictures, send them pictures in chat, or if they are small children, they can have their own printed versions at home, for example, and you are playing a game. You name a sentence, and if the person has got this picture, they need to cross it. And when they cross all the pictures on the card, then they need to cry out bingo. To make it more complicated, we usually ask students to play them by themselves. They make sentences, not we. For example, first round, we were making sentence like there is a table, and if a student has it, they need to cross it out. Or, sometimes if you work only online and if you can only project the picture for students, you can just ask them to take any paper, yes, and they only need to draw this grid and write down what they see on the pictures. It will be like additional writing part as well, a writing task. And after that, move them to breakout rooms and ask to make sentences to each other. Yes, for example, here it was grammar, there is, there are. There is a TV, and they cross. Then another student says there is a toy box, and they are playing it by themselves. It gives the opportunity to produce the language while using grammar, there is, there are. Tic-tac-toe is played also similarly. So yeah, I should have had it here. Okay, not there. Tic-tac-toe is, it is played like when they need to make up sentences as well. And if the sentence is correct, they can put their sign, crosses or knots. They really like playing that. Also, they can play that more independently without your without your help and support. Just put them in breakout rooms, give them this grid, or they have them in their books, and ask to make up sentences playing tic-tac-toe. And they are really interested in that, because it's not like making sentences while sitting and looking at you, but while playing game, which make it more interactive and engaging. Okay, 1 second. Simon Says game, it's really universal game because it can be changed in different ways and with smaller students as well. For example, you also can give them the opportunity to work by themselves and be the person who makes this Simon Says actions. But first of all, you model it, like Simon says, I'm a teacher, and they show it. Simon says, I'm a builder, and they need to show some actions of a builder. Or Simon says, I'm a driver, and they show that. When you provided it by yourself, you ask the students to go separately to breakout room and change one of them says, Simon says, and some action. So they again practice telling sentences using correct grammar, and you can come to them and monitor. Banana sentences, it was shown before, yes, but they can be used like separate activity when they are studying any grammar point, like past simple or present. Anyway, just they need to, it can be also organized in collaborative way. Who will write most banana sentences during 3 minutes? And they try to do it. Then they practice these banana sentences in breakout rooms while reading, and their partners have to guess what was this banana word. Souvenirs and Survivor. These are two games that can be played with older students and high levels. And Souvenirs is the aim of this game is to practice narrative sentences. It's like they can choose any object from their room or what they have, and they need to imagine that that is a souvenir that they get from, for example, the deserted island, and they need to describe where did they take it, how can it be used, when was it, when did they see it, why did they buy it, and they make their own short stories. So it can be used during studying narrative sentences and playing such a game. And Survivor, it's also similar to it, but the aim of this game is to practice purposes, like why do you need this thing? Okay, today I have a present for you. This beautiful bag. It is used for, or it can be used while doing this or that. So these are some games that can be played with different topics, and it can be, okay, it is your imagination and your creativity, but the rules are the same. Just take your own topics and your own rules, not rules, but tasks, and make it work. And also, who doesn't know about Kahoot, quizzes, Bamboozle, Genially, and WordWall? You know, these are my favorite. That's why I decided to put them here for you. And I will just stop on some example games that can be used on the practice stages. All of these games, of course, as you can understand, can be used on practice, for practicing, right? Not production. Very rarely when students need to make their own stories, like a tool sometimes, but usually on practice stage of the lesson. And also on the clarification, when you need to understand if the student got the rules of some grammar structure or not. I hope that most of you know what is Kahoot, quizzes, but now I would like to show them just some examples of games that were used at our lessons. Of course, all of them have got their already prepared games, and you can just Google for them. And of course, you need to check them beforehand, because yes, they are prepared before, but sometimes for example, language cannot be appropriate for your level of students. So if you find them, just check it out beforehand to get the most of usage of that. I need just a second to open that. So I really liked this Kahoot because it also consists of not only practicing form, but it has the meaning also with question. For example, here you can see this timeline, and while answering the question, they can get to know when do we use present perfect, for example, while studying that, here is the form, how to make it. And after that, students are given some gap filling tasks. They cannot write them down, but play a game. It's interactive, more interesting. The same about quizzes. There is online quiz when they need to choose, like it can be multiple choice, or sometimes it also has got that way of tasks as they need to type their answers, and it helps us to check spelling and so on. What I've found really useful and interesting for me was this tool, which is called Genially. It looks like that icon, and it has got really different games and different modes. For example, it was for practicing past simple and past continuous domino game. So students have to choose correct answer, and then dominoes are, it is played like domino for them. Also very colorful, interesting, and students are engaged in that, right? When one season right we're having, yes, so it was correct, it is moved. Also, there are some other board games. I find the board games are really great way of practicing language, especially grammar, because they have this repetition, they can make their own sentences, but that's not very interesting when we just show them the PDF file and they look and play like this. But we can use online tools, and generally gives the opportunity to play online board games with a die and counters as well. Now I will present them for you too. One more. And word wall. Okay, Genially. It was also for higher level. It was B2 group, and there is such resource for practicing, for example, conditionals and revision of rules, and some practice that they can do. Conditionals. Here, like spinning the wheel for practicing comparison form. They also do the task, but in an interactive way. And it's incorrect, yes, and they need to try again, checking it. And when they choose the correct answer, it gives the great feedback. Yes, they are really interested at that, what is happening on the screen. Board game, what I said about. I am really impressed of it because they hear everything is here. Yes, they roll the die. They use the funny counters, go, and also you need to explain the rule. Yes, if just multiple choose, so they choose, and here they have some sentences to make and already done. Domino. Okay, I've shown that. It was about generally. You can ask about if it is free or not. Most of games are free. Some of them are in premium version, but it needs to be checked. And also there are some modes, and you can make your own games. Of course, it's time consuming, but it's worth it, especially when there is some revision or you see that some of topics needs to be practiced a lot. And word wall. It also one of the most interactive types of games, and there are different templates that can be used in practicing. For example, here is the matching, practice of tag questions, or also there is the matching pairs games, when students need to play like matching game but online. Yes, opening some cards. Incorrect. When they find out the when they find out the pair, they need to make up a sentence. For example, it would be swim in the lake. Or you can ask them to not just to find out the matching pairs like vocabulary revision, but ask them to ask each other question using that. Also very nice interactive practice task. So there is lots of things to consider. Okay, I would like to show you some other sites and resources. For example, this ESL games.
Choose the correct answer.
For young learners, it is they are doing just filling in the gap task, but in that very nice form. Again, if it is wrong, it shows them and they have to
choose the correct answer.
As the woman. Again, sometimes students make these mistakes, and if it is practice, if it is the practice stage, need to check it to close it. If it is the practice stage, and as I did, they usually make mistakes. After this, you need to give this delayed error correction, or if it is practice in production, delayed error, and if it is practice, you can like if you are in the breakout room and you see your students playing that game and they usually make mistakes, it shows you that you need to correct them on spot. And even in the breakout room, you can ask them again some checking questions, and after that they continue playing. It is also can be done like this. Or also this ESL kids games. There are also different types of games. For example, board game, as I showed you in Genially, it has got some ready-made games with dice and counters, and it makes them interactive. I collected some of these useful links for you, and you will receive that. Here is that file. You will receive it after the webinar on your email. And here is the short script of what was mentioned during the presentation. And as I promised, in the end, there is the list of drilling types that that is a really great tool for us during the practice stage in the beginning. So teaching grammar can be fun and interactive. It depends on us. How do we present the language? How well do we choose the practice tasks and activities? And how well is the feedback given? Error correction given? And also, of course, if we enrich our lesson with some modern tools and some techniques, especially when we are interested in it and we eager to make the lesson fun and effective, they will be like that, and students will get the most usage of what they are taught. Thank you very much. I hope that you have found some useful and maybe new tips or resources, and we are really waiting for you on the presentation of TalkEn.Cloud platform on the 2nd of June. you will receive this link for registration again. And now you're free to ask your questions. We'll try to answer them. Okay, there was a question, is your platform connected to any course books? Yes, so there are course books, and these are interactive, and some they can be a printed version and interactive. Your students choose whether to buy the book or use only online one. Is this platform good for individuals? Yes, of course. We had individual students who were taught by in this platform, and they really like it. And for example, playing games, if they are in group, they can play these games with their partners. But if you conduct individual lessons, then you play with the student, and that worked really well. We really liked that, a student and me too. Can I get the presentation of this lesson for teacher? Okay, you will receive the demo version to the platform, and there you can find the link and other links that you will use as the presentation. How can we get the certificate? Okay, again, there are again some questions about certificates. Yes, as I said in the beginning, after the end of the webinar, you will receive the test on your platform. When you do this test with 75% and more of correct answer, you will get the automatically done and prepared certificates for yourself. Yes. Okay, could you give the links of sites with games? Yes, sure. As also I mentioned, I prepared this link. Not just one link, sorry, but I was speaking for a long time and now it's like dry. Yes, there is the file where I provided all these links that I've used, and you can use them by yourself. So now according to the questions about some of these links, useful resources, certificates, everything that will be important for you to get and receive, you will have on your emails. Is using platform free of charge? Okay. Demo version, yes. There are some. Okay, 1 second. Okay, there is the demo version of this platform. You can you can get to know about it more on the presentation, as I mentioned, on the 2nd of June. And you can have the most of information about that on this presentation. It's not like the platform itself. Of course, if you want to work with your students using the platform, it's not almost free, but you can buy the access like subscription with, and now there are lots of okay. You as teachers now can buy them with the charges. Aha, okay, I see a question. I visited the previous webinar but didn't get any materials. Please check your spam folder in email. or also this is the advertisement part in your Gmail. Yes, if you cannot find it there, please write down this again this request to the address, to this address from which you received the confirmation of this webinar. Okay. Do you use any platforms with the video and audio resources for kids? You know, there are a lot of them, but in our platform on TalkEn.Cloud, there is, for me, that is enough. Prepared videos for presentation, for practice, and different other activities. So I don't need to find out lots of additional, because there are really lots of well quality videos and materials on TalkEn.Cloud itself. And of course, if they need maybe some additional practice or what, I try to find out recommend them some apps to use in order to practice individually and so on. Should we provide feedback in front of class, or it would reduce students' confidence? It depends. You know, if we provide delayed error correction, you don't point on the student who made the mistake, because you collect, yes, you collect it, and they are just thinking about correcting it by themselves. Why is it that? You know, especially when students are older and to higher levels of them, they identify who said it, but nobody else remembers about it. Only this person usually, it was my mistake. Sometimes they even say, oh, it was my sentence, and you said, but I heard sometimes from different people, and now I made it like an example. It wasn't one point. Don't write down it's like a student said, full sentence like student said. For example, he used, I has done my homework already. Yes, you can write, I has cooked a dinner. So have this mistake, but change it a little bit, and they will not identify who done it, but you can also focus on the grammar point and they need to correct. How much time do we have for the test? There aren't any time limits, and you have got some tries, so you can retry and redo it. But I hope that you will do it from the first time, because it's not really hard and everything important was provided, and I believe that everybody will receive the certificate while doing the test. Okay. So as I can see, these are all questions. If you have some other questions that maybe arise afterwards, you can always write it down on our email address, and we would try to answer everybody. Thank you very much for attendance. I was worried, really worried, because there are lots of you, but I really tried to share something that was used by teachers in Green Country during this period of time. We also checked that, you know, the system of a flipped classroom with self-studies and practicing during the lesson, it really works really well. And I hope that some of you will try to use this platform. But, you know, this even the materials from self-study can be used by you if you don't want to work like this, or your students are not interested in that form. You can use it like in traditional teaching and use the same videos that are in self-study page, self-study section, I mean, but on presentation. and afterwards use as much time as you need with your group to do these practice tasks. Thank you very much, really. And also, I would like to repeat again that you can find the link for the test of the previous webinar on our YouTube channel under that video. And if you passed the test, you also mention here there your email address, and you will receive the generated certificate automatically. Okay, I hope that there will be no problem with it. We kindly invite you to visit our next webinars, and especially the presentation of the platform of TalkEn.Cloud on the 2nd of June. And of course, you will again receive all the links on your emails. Please check spam, check the adverts part, because for some reason, sometimes they are there. So if there aren't any more questions, thank you again for your attention. You gave me something that never returns to you. Not me, but of course you did it for yourself for the first time. Time never returns back. And I hope that you got something useful that you can implement in your lessons, and you and your students will enjoy grammar lessons, and they will not be boring. And not boring and not difficult anymore. Thank you very much.